Now we are going to compare rational numbers. So first let's go over greater, less than, and equal to. So I always say the bird is pointing his nose at the small number. I don't know, I just thought of it. So basically that means like a 5 is pointing his nose at a 3. So the big number thinks he's bigger because he is bigger, so he gets to point his nose at the smaller number. Anyway, so that would mean that that is greater than, or you could say 3 is less than 5, or 5 is greater than 3. And then this is just the opposite, so this is saying 5 is greater than 3. And then an equal to would just be like 3 is equal to 3. So now we have our first problem here, which says -1 is either going to be greater or less than or equal to 2. So if the big number sticks his nose at the smaller number, then we're going to go that way, because 2 is greater than -1, or -1 is less than 2. So now you're going to have to graph it though. So basically we are going to go to -1, and we're going to say, and we're going to put a little circle there, and then we're going to put that with to 2, and if 2 is greater than -1, we're just going to draw a line in between the two. Now we're going to compare fractions. But on this one, you have a -3/8 is either going to be greater, less than, or equal to 5/16. Well, you can't compare them unless the bottom of the fractions are the same. So we can leave 5/16 alone, and we can just change 8 to 16. So you have to times 8 by 2 to get 16. So whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. And you need to remember if it's a negative, keep it a negative. So -3 times 2 is -6. And now you have a -6/16, and then you have a 5/16. So now you can compare them. So right away you have a negative and a positive. So the positive is always going to be bigger than the negative. So we're going to go like that. But then on the graph, just so you know what it would look like, we would just graph it with the numbers over 16. You don't really need to do this many, but just so you can see. So that way you have a 5. And then here you would just go -1/16, -2/16, -3/16. And so on. Okay, so now you graph your -6/16, and you got that. So you're in between there. So just remember the greater, less than, and equal to. The big bird is pointing his nose at the smaller one. And when you compare fractions, you have to make the bottoms the same before you can compare them. And that's how you're going to compare rational numbers.